Hello everyone, I'm Snowy Coraline. Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. Um, I hope everyone is enjoying this holiday with your families and friends despite this recent situation all over the world where there is unfortunately another outbreak of new with the coronavirus COVID-19. And here I'm drawing a character from an anime, and which title is I think in English it is called By the Grace of the Gods, and in Japanese it is 神達に拾われた男. So this is a new the so-called isekai or another world fantasy type of story that I am recently really enjoy reading its manga and watching its anime. It's about this it's about an around 40-year-old man working in a very they call it black company in Japanese, which means that the label what they call that they with a very harsh a company with a very harsh working environment, and one day he just passed away when he was resting in his house, and then he was brought by this few three gods from another world into this new world to be reborn as a boy of 8 years old, started his life in this new world where there's magic and there are monsters, just like a very typical RPG games, fantasy like RPG game nowadays. And he started his life there, decided to live freely, just as do whatever that he enjoy, well, of course without harming others, not like his past life, only living upon others' expectations. So it's a very slow-paced and warm plot that I don't know, just I probably have said this in my previous video for the Fukigen Mononoke fan art, that I really like this they are not the major hits manga or anime, but they are very slow paced, very relaxing to watch, and very soothing. You watch it, you just feel very relaxed and very wholesome. So, and this is another story like that. It was just talking about this boy living his new life in a new world, trying to do whatever that interested him. Yeah. And meets a lot of good people and solves those problems that he faced along his life. And yeah, it's just very another healing type of stories that really help to help me to get back the motivation to face whatever I have to in real life. So here I'm drawing this main character of the story, Ryoma Takebayashi. So we call him Ryoma. So Ryoma was making this cake, Christmas cake, for a party of his, together with his friends and colleagues. And he was making these Christmas cakes with his favorite monster, which is the slimes. He was really fond of these slimes, so he has a lot of slimes with him. And I was trying to make him look very excited and happy, and I'm glad that he does look much better than my first attempt of drawing him before. I do have other illustrations of Ryomas too, but I still haven't managed to make these speed painting videos for them. I might put them up sometimes later, but I just decided to put this up first because today is Christmas, right? And yeah, so I'm having Ryoma making this Christmas cakes for the party, and I think I'm at the stage of final coloring and touch-ups. I'll start to put in the shadows. It just looks like it's a little bit dull here, but eventually I try to adjust the colors so that it looks a little bit warmer. And at this stage, his facial expressions looks a little scary because of his eyes doesn't have any highlights. It was wide open, but I was actually wondering if I should, shut his eyes a little. Make it a little bit not so widely open. But I decided to just leave it first until I finish rendering it, because sometimes it just, in the middle of rendering the illustration, it just is not going to look good until you finish rendering it. But if it anyway, it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't really look good. Even after I've rendered it, I might do some adjustment to the eyes or something. I think it's because of the eyes and the shadow, the way I've putting the shadows on half of his face. So it just look a little scary, at least at this moment. And I've added some neutral color on the shadows part, adding another layer of the shadows again to make the illustration look a little bit more with more depth. And I've also changed the color of the background, make it into a more neutral and not so. I first put the background in a yellowish color before. That just make it, I just feel like it takes out a lot of attention rather than the main character itself. So now I've put in some highlights into his eyes, and it started to look better. It started to look like, well, he's happy, and I changed I changed the color of the shadows again to make the whole picture looks a little bit brighter, in a more happy mood. Yeah. So I'm still rendering most part of the Ryoma. I've already rendered most part of Ryoma, and I've started with the cake, adding up highlights, and then I try to make the hair looks a little bit more detailed. I've always, I don't know, I have this love-hate relationship with drawing hairs, because it just makes the illustration looks a lot better if you manage to draw the hairs good. So I've added a lot of new strands, but honestly, because I am aiming for a more matte looking kind of coloring for the hair actually. And for this, I feel like it looks a little bit too 3D. I prefer the kind of coloring of hair that looks a little bit more 2D, but with more subtle color transitions, like into some neutral colors in between the shadows spaces. So change some colors, and here it is.